Well, the NFL's popularity has grown just drastically in recent years. A big reason for that, fantasy football. Reporter Shelley Leggett found a very cool connection between the fantasy football world and New Mexico.
Obviously, there isn't a professional football team here in New Mexico, but that hasn't stopped any of you from rooting on your favorite team and favorite players. But to keep track of which players are doing what, there is a little light reading that could help. It's a fantasy football magazine based here in Albuquerque. The days of being just a football fan are long gone.
A lot of people are investing heavily in them.
Football fanatics across the country no longer just follow their favorite team, and many watch multiple games at a time.
He was the 13th ranked running back last year.
That's because millions have fantasy football fever.
It's a hobby. It's a hobby, and humans need a hobby. They need to get away from their stresses in life. And it provides a beautiful hobby.
The idea came from a man named Bill Winkenbach in 1959 in Oakland, California. Back then, there was a fantasy baseball league. Winkenbach thought, why not make one for football? Winkenbach later became a part owner of the Oakland Raiders, and with the help of several other men, said they wanted to take the baseball fantasy and turn it into a football frenzy.
You know all the teams, you know all the players, you know all the coaches, you know the schemes. And so, yeah, you're pretty much a real fantasy fan, real football fan.
Bill Robertson, a fantasy football super fan, has been all in since the 80s.
I had a buddy that was doing it in college, and he got me into it.
He's also made it into a career, along with Emil Kadlik.
We got together and decided there's no information out there. We need to figure out how we can, because we're doing all the analysis and trying to figure out who we wanted on our teams. We knew pretty good NFL, players and defenses and stuff.
Kadlik is the president of Fantasy Sports Publications, Inc., an Albuquerque-based fantasy football magazine called Pro Forecast.
We provide fantasy content for fantasy football players, which basically helps them with their draft preparation.
Who you should draft, how you should draft, stats, profiles, you name it. Everything you need to make the best draft picks for your fantasy football league. The first publication came out in the 90s, and now there are 4 different publications to help you up your fantasy football game.
Back in the old days, in the 90s, a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. So you could walk in a draft and draft poorly and still win fairly easily. But now you really have to know what you're doing, and you have to understand what the other people know to be able to do well in the league.
You don't have to be an expert. For beginners,
do the mock drafts. Mock draft is a simulated draft, so you can start to see, oh, wow, I was going to draft my quarterback in the first round. I don't need to do that.
Kyler Murray, the Oklahoma quarterback that was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, I think right off the bat, I think he can throw a bunch of touchdowns. But that's where you get in trouble with fantasy football, because rookies normally don't do well, especially a quarterback, their first season.
You can join a practice league and even do it for free on websites like Yahoo and ESPN. But it's really all about what you know.
You can start learning, and once you start learning, you're going to feel a little more comfortable.
Fantasy football league drafts usually start in September, but there are some that are drafting as early as March before the NFL draft. Matter of fact, there are people drafting right now, but most will wait till after preseason. In Albuquerque, Shelley Leggett, KOAT Action 7 News.